Listen, welcome to Mars. As some of you know, I'm an Aries, so this is going to be kind of a walk in the park for me, isn't it? But
okay.
You see, before I go into Mars, what I want to do is talk a bit about what we're doing with these symbols, right? I mean, we're tracing sigils and symbols, and we're collecting stones, and we are using implements like the staff we had last week. It's over in the corner because it's not absolutely irrelevant to Mars, right? But I've said this before. The symbol is only an approximation of the reality. And you really need to understand this. You really need to remember this, that the symbol is only an approximation of the reality. And I can put it this way. We were just talking about sage a moment ago. And you say, right, Pierce says sage is associated with Jupiter. Well, actually, hang tight. I'll be right back. I'll get it. All right, back on camera. Such bad form, isn't it? Here's sage, I should say. All right. Now, I'll pull one off. What do you notice about the shape of the leaf?
Pointy. It's quite pointy.
Yeah, it's like a spear, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a spear tip, right? And you smell sage, and it's got kind of an invigorating element to it, an invigorating aspect to it. So could you also say that it's Martian?
So it could be.
Yeah, because the symbol only approximates what it is that you're trying to connect to. You see, as long as you begin to recognize the essence of things, right? I mean, you wouldn't use something like an aspen leaf. They're quite round, really, right? You would think that's more to do with the moon or something, yeah? But you can say, right, this has a symbol in it that is reminiscent of a spear, yeah? And this one that was created in around like the 11th century or so, this symbol is a shield and a spear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And there's a whole thing about Shakespeare and all that type of stuff. Who holds the spear in Greek mythology? Do you know? Something you can go research, all right? But this is where Shakespeare got his name from, okay? Yeah, whomever he was trying to connect to at that point. But anyway, you understand, right? Because you can say, well, there are certain things that are very fundamental, right? Like you wouldn't say the element going with Mars is water. Yeah, you can't, unless it's boiling water, maybe in its boiling form, or if you were to electrolyze it and strip off the hydrogen and oxygen and then reignite it, that might be the only condition, right, that water could be associated with Mars. Yeah. But when it comes to complex things like plants, you can say, yeah, there is somewhat of a Martian influence in there, but there's also a Jupiterian influence in it as well. Makes sense?
Yeah.
So why do we do this? We do this because it gets us on the frequency of something. You're looking to connect to something, you've got to tune your radio into it. Right? If you're trying to listen to a particular kind of music on the radio, top 40 or whatever it is that you wish to listen to, you're not going to tune into a classical station, are you? No, you're going to tune in, right? You're going to find the stations that are playing top 40. And so when you begin to connect to something like Mars or Jupiter or Saturn or any of these sorts of things, the reason why you're filling your environment with such things, right? Got various things over here, is because it's like tuning into the radio. You just want to get on the frequency of it. And you can look at something like sage and go, well, this actually would fit because of its shape. Not necessarily because of what it would do if you took it as an herb, for example, And it's going to have more of a Jupiterian Jupiterian influence in that context, but you could certainly use its shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, you don't have a sword laying around the house. Maybe you do, right? I used to. I think I have a spear somewhere around here, but it's not like a daily thing that I dig out and, play with the spear. But, you could use a spade like you do in a gardening context. You see, that's a Martian looking thing, isn't it? You feel free to play with these things as long as you get the essence of it and you begin to connect to it. And sometimes you're going to gather something and go, no, actually, I thought that was Martian or Saturnian or whatever the case is, but it turned out not to be. So
Yeah.
this is how you begin to develop a taste for something. All right, so we're clear on that, aren't we? That the symbol only approximates the actual thing. Is one point that I want to get across. And the reason for filling your environment with that which you wish to connect to is to get on the frequency of it. And you'll learn something in the process of it. And then you'll be able to look at something else and go, ooh, because of what I now know about Mars or Jupiter or Saturn, I can now detect that also is Mars or Jupiter or Saturn. See, something new that you come across that you didn't know before. And that's when things begin to really open up for you. And I suppose the third thing that I want to get across before we launch into Mars is, this is kind of reminiscent of Rome, isn't it? Right, the red and white. Yeah, they loved the red and white. Of course, it says Maui on it, but it's the only red and white shirt I had. So sorry, I could put tape over it, I suppose. But you get the idea. Yeah, it's it has that frequency about it a bit. So that's why I'm wearing it. The third thing that I want to get into before we launch into Mars is that we all have all of these natures, all of these planetary natures go into us at the point of our birth, goes into us when, both at conception and at birth, when you take your first breath. But the idea is that no one's lacking Mars, no one's lacking Jupiter, no one's lacking Saturn, Sun, Moon influences. All right, they're just kind of in different quantities and proportions. And this, we've talked about this before, that this is what makes your soul. But think about it from this standpoint. Okay, now we've gone through what? Only three, correct? We've gone through Saturn, Jupiter, and now we're onto Mars. So you can say Saturn is like this, the sage, not the plant sage, right? But the wise old one. Do you have wisdom in you? Are you a Lao Tzu at heart? Are you, Theophan the Recluse at heart, or whomever? Do you see? It's that sageness about it, that ancient of days, that ancient wisdom. Yeah, you've got that, don't you? You have a bit of that in you. Jupiter, having to do with something kingly or queenly or regal. Yeah, do you have a regalness that you can connect to? And now Mars, the warrior, the disciplined, the hard-hitting, straight at you. Yeah, it's not violent, actually. Mars doesn't feel violent. It's like it exudes all of this energy on the outside. But inside, it's got this solidity, this confidence, this, you understand? You have this. This is part of your nature. Then we'll get on to the sun, right? Which instead of being kingly, would be more like an emperor within the context of a priest king. That'll sit with some of you here.
Yeah.
And the idea of a priest king, right? That's a solar thing. You get Venus. Are you a lover? Are you nurturing? Yeah, are you these things? Of course. It's part of the constitution of your makeup. Now, you'll find as we go through these planets that there will be certain things that are easier for you to connect to and certain things that are more difficult. And it's important to be able to get to a point of balance in yourself that you work a little harder at those ones that are more difficult to connect to. Yeah. Human nature, right? If you're tall and lanky and have good hand-eye coordination, you're naturally good at basketball, and so you're going to play basketball, yeah, instead of like wrestling or judo or something like that. You see, right? We always want to go for what's easy for us, but in a personal development journey, sometimes it's important to go to those things that aren't so easy. Okay. By the way, is the sound coming through okay? Because we had to switch.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Platform. Okay, just want to make sure. I've got a microphone there, and I'm not sure if it's picking me up here or up there. So as long as you can hear me, that's what's important. All right. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a moment if there's any questions about what was just said, and then we'll dive into Mars.
Yeah, I was thinking from a detection and an awareness development point of view that, yeah, I agree, not to stick with those planets that you are more prone to.
Yeah.
But to use those to get things switched on in you, so as to be able to recognize things.
Sure.
And then once you've, I don't know, I suppose you could even say, shown to yourself that you can connect to things.
Yeah.
You can then think, right, don't focus on those. Now it's time to start to get into working into the planets that you don't tend to work with so much.
Yeah. You're absolutely right, because success breeds success, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you have a certain way into something, you can then extrapolate that and go, okay, that's how I got into that. How do I get into this?
Yeah.
How do I get into something that's less easy? Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it does actually come down to getting in through your astrology, through your astrological sign. I'm going to probably begin to approach things in a Martian way. Hopefully not Marvin the Martian, you know him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
He's fun.
He doesn't seem very Martian. Anyway, but yeah, being an Aries, I'm going to approach things in kind of an Aries way, aren't I? And dig into it or connect to it that way. Because they all have one thing in common. They're all celestial bodies, aren't they? Yeah. Yeah. Jupiter and Saturn are basically failed suns, aren't they? Right. That's one way to look at them. Science kind of goes, yeah, kind of, right? Because they have their own specific definition. But you take Jupiter, for example, it radiates more energy than it receives from the sun. So from that standpoint, it is kind of a failed sun. What is a brown dwarf? Failed brown dwarf, right? Not quite there, almost there.
Are they suns, or are they suns that haven't quite got to the point of being suns yet?
See, the problem is with our particular solar system is that we should have been a binary system.
Yeah.
Right? Most systems in the universe are binary star systems, and that works out quite well, kind of in the nature of a king and queen. But we only have a king right now, you see, and so those two planets had the opportunity, had the chance to become that, but now they're so overly dominated by the sun, which is just absolutely immense and massive compared to what those would be if, say, we were orbiting Saturn, for example, or orbiting Jupiter. We would get its warmth, we would get its light, we would get its radiation. We'd have to be much closer, but it's we're so dominated, you see, by this one that it doesn't stand a chance. It tells you something a little bit about human endeavors in certain respects too.
Yeah.
You can have someone who's so overpowering with their presence or whatever it is that they're exuding, that everyone else feels just like they can't do it.
Yeah.
It's not a good position to be in. This is one of the disasters that's happened to our planet. One of the many, but yeah. You raise an interesting point, though, from a, I think the right term would be cosmology, from a cosmology standpoint of both the fourth way and the Eminata, is this idea that planets become suns, suns become galaxies, and so on and so forth. This idea of evolution. Yeah, it's possible, right? From that standpoint, if you think about it from that line, it's possible. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting thing, that, because what I was thinking just now is with the dominance of the sun and how it influences the way things are down here to a greater extent than it should do. And then that causing all this hot process that then goes back to both the moon and the sun. The moon feeds from it, the sun burns it off. But the burning off of that process actually then creates the next cycle of overpowering things that shouldn't be powered on this planet.
Yeah.
So have we got ourselves into an unfortunate ping pong of why things aren't able to move on as they should do? Because the wrong stuff is going back to the sun, the wrong stuff's going to the planet. Because from what I understand, this thing about moons becoming planets and planets becoming suns and suns becoming stars, it was explained this it isn't true.
Well, it's allegorical.
Yeah, it's the moon and the planet and the sun and whatever it is of itself can't have an evolution. The evolution is done to that body by what is above it. So again, what is supposed to be coming from outside of the planet is supposed to be helping her to go on to her next phase.
It's almost right. It's actually what's above and below it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And because we're getting crap from both directions, the moon and the sun, it's hard for things outside of that sun and moon and the planet in the middle, stuff way on that to actually have a chance to do what it needs to do down here with people, so that what it is, the interaction between life and the planet, can then do what it needs to do. But there's just too much stuff locally that's screwing it up, for want of a better term.
Right. Yeah, we could do an entire probably series on this notion, and it's not something that I should go into today. Otherwise, we'll get off track. But there's a certain logic or certain reason in the notion that we are not indigenous to this solar system anyway. That we are only partially indigenous, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
In other words, we had a sun, right? Even the ancients called Saturn the better sun. Did you know that?
But again,
the ancients called Saturn the better sun. Now, if you, and I'm sure you've spent time looking at the sky and thinking, oh, that dot there must be Saturn. And you have to ask yourself, why would the ancients say that? It's just a little dot in the sky, right? From your perspective.
Yeah.
Now, not always was it that way. It wasn't. This is what I think. But the idea is that we accidentally you know, cosmic accident, accidentally came too darn close to this sun, which is massive in comparison to something like Saturn or Jupiter, 1,000 times more massive than Jupiter, I think. But we got into this solar system, you know, kind of crossing paths, and went away again and crossed paths again and went away again. And finally, we just began orbiting this one, and along with our sun, Saturn, Jupiter too, binary, you see. But anyway, like I said, that's a whole thing we can go into, and we probably spend many hours on it. But there's a whole lot of reason and logic to that approach of things. But why would the ancients say this? Yeah. And then what did creation have to do to the ape that we are, right? We are a version of ape, they think.
Yeah.
What did creation have to do to that ape that would have eventually evolved into something similar to us? Yeah. But now is under a completely different condition. Yeah. It had to splice something in and, you know, go, reconfigure some things and, you know, and borrow some genetics or borrow some genetic ideas from a completely different solar system, universe, maybe, and cram it into ours. Yeah. And that's why we're so weird. It always blows me away. We always think that, you know, aliens invading, right? This concept of aliens invading and, you know, and transmogrifying us, right, with their ray guns and, you know, this sort of thing, like they would treat us the way that we treat everything else. This is not the case. We're just really weird. in the universal scheme of things, we're a very strange creature. Yeah. They would probably look at us and, you know, honestly, like, be very sad, not wishing to dominate and attack us. That's a weird twist. Aliens, if they were complex enough to get here, they're not going to be like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So let's dive into Mars, though, okay? Because I could, we could just derail this whole thing and go off on that topic.
That's what we were planning to do.
Yeah, right. And it's pressing. So, what element goes with Mars? Is it follow me now?
Yeah, it is.
I don't like that. Anyway, what element?
The one that came to mind, I'm not sure why it came to mind, but iron.
Fire. Absolutely right. Right. Now, in what way? Did you said fire?
No, I was saying iron as in
Oh, you're going with the metallic element. I meant like air, earth, water, fire element.
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah, you're right. Iron does.
Yeah.
Oh. And I suppose since I misunderstood you, I gave it away. Fire, right? As far as the four elements go. What symbols? What symbols go with it? We talked about a couple of them, didn't we? Yeah, spear, shield, sword. What would you say?
Thinking.
What about Charlie Brown's shirt? Not the yellow. Right. What does he have on his shirt?
Zigzag.
Yeah. Things that are zigzaggy, jagged.
Oh, that explains why Aquarians can be fiery.
That's right. And, you know, from Egypt, we have this symbol, don't we? Have you seen that? In Egyptian hieroglyphics?
Yeah.
My head's in the way, you see?
Okay. Yeah. And it's the Hebrew letter which means chaos.
Yeah.
Right.
Us Aries, right? Bring chaos to everything.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. We gotta watch out. What color?
It's explained kind of quickly. And
what colors?
Red.
Yeah, red, sure. What else?
I'd say black.
I would agree with that in a particular context. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What else? Because black is also Saturnian. Again, you go back to this idea of the symbol never matches the reality of it. Right? It's just a a peek into the reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. How about a song? White should also go with it, especially if it's with red. Yeah, because then you're talking about the like red and white blood cells that work together in unison as to conduct warfare against whatever might invade. The white blood cells, don't they?
Yeah.
Do you know? Right? White blood cells. They attack and absorb and surround and destroy and dismantle anything that is foreign that tries to come in.
Yeah.
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 Do you know a piece of music that goes with it? Martian.
I'm trying to avoid the Planet Sweet because that's too obvious. You know, Mars. But just trying to think of something else.
I've got one. How about Ride of the Valkyries? Do you know it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll post it up, okay? But yeah, that's very Martian. Yeah.
What
I
about
think Mark,
music?
you hit one of them, of course, Mark.
Yeah.
This is the thing, right? The music seems to be the hardest one for people to get to when it comes to saying, is this Martian? Is this Venusian? And those sorts of things. Music is tough, seems to be for people. But when you get a couple of examples, then you can go, oh, that reminds me of Ride of the Valkyries, for example, or Corellia Suite, right? And once you get those associations, you go, that reminds me of, then you can begin to say, yeah, I think so. I think this one might be a Martian type of song. What else would be, think of how Mars would express itself in music. Yeah, you know, a military cadence. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Left, 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 right. It's very syncopated, very rhythm driven.
It's interesting that they say left, 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 right, left. They don't say right, 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 left, right.
Yeah.
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 How?
Because as you'll see,
your positive leg, innit?
as you'll see when we get onto the movements that go with Mars, right? The first one after the bow position, left, right, left. The first movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
we feel that marching power in it.
Yeah.
So things with heavy rhythm, heavy marching rhythm, right? It's got a beat, but you can't dance to it, right? Not the way with yeah, Mars, you would have this dun, 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 feeling to it, like the blood pumping.
Yeah, as I said just now, the if you think about Star Trek, the motion picture when they bring on the Klingon ships right at the beginning, that's become the standard Klingon music, and it is very, very much that boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, absolutely. Klingons are would be the galactic equivalent of a Martian attitude, wouldn't it? Right?
Yeah.
It's a good day to die in battle, and those sorts of things, right? Right. Beta Zeds probably be very Venusian, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Anyway, what's another musical instrument that might go with it? What do you see in the military? Right here in America, anyway.
What, the trumpet?
Yeah, trumpet.
Right.
Yeah, that kind of piercing, metallic, ringing sound to it has a very Martian feel to it. Birds. What kind of birds would be Martian?
Oh, now that's interesting.
There's also one that's religiously named.
There you go,
The
yeah.
cardinal. Yeah.
Oh,
Cardinal.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a bird called a cardinal also.
I need to find out what those things look like.
you've gone quiet again, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a cardinal would be one of them. What about a woodpecker? Yeah, us Aries, we're always banging our heads against something.
Okay.
Oh, blimey, yeah.
Yeah.
Hold it up to the camera. That's it.
Yeah, right. Doesn't that look a bit Aries-ish, a bit Martian?
Yeah.
Yeah, cardinal. And the cardinals in the church are dressed in red, aren't they?
Either red or purple.
Uh-huh. Right. So they're either Martian or Jupiterian, aren't they? Depending on their function, I would suppose. I don't know.
Yeah.
What kind of bug would you expect? Insect.
A red ant.
Sure. A red ant, yeah.
Why are
Army
you
ants.
picking on red ants. Go on, tell a story.
Yeah, I got bitten by one when I was little.
In
Oh,
Kenya.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, bloody pain. Sorry. It was very painful.
You said
They
it
are.
It's white end, yeah? It's bloody painful.
Yeah, I did too. And you can't just pull them out, right? Because their head stays in. They're so tenacious. Their head will stay in, continuing to bite you. You know, I was a, Aries kid, and manholes. You guys have those, right?
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what a manhole is, right? Get underneath and work on things under the street and whatnot. So I'm, jumping on manholes every time it's probably 8 or something like that, right? But I would jump on manholes. God only knows why, but in any event, one time I jumped on a manhole and it wasn't buttoned down, and so it tilted sideways and I fell down inside, and it was filled with red ants, and I came out just covered in the darn things.
Oh,
Yeah.
you can sympathise with that one,
Yeah,
can't you?
not enough. It's
I think that's the last time I jumped on a manhole too. Right? Test it out first. Yeah. What about wasps?
No, I don't like wasps. No.
Yeah. Not white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, but like bzzz, yeah. The ones that look like bees but are mean. Wasps, sure. Here's one that'll get you. What about a scorpion? Scorpion.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now you would think, oh wait, but that's the sign for Sagittarius. Or not Sagittarius, I'm sorry.
Scorpio.
Scorpio, yeah.
Yeah.
Sign for Scorpio, right? But also ruled by Mars, isn't it? Scorpio.
Yeah, because I'm born right on the cusp between Scorpio and Saggy. And then I sometimes think there's more Scorpio in me than there's more Scorpio in me than Sagittarius.
Maybe. Yeah. What else? Are you starting to get on the frequency of it though? You see, like it's hard to say what all of these things have in common, isn't it? Like, what does a drum, a trumpet, an ant, a fire ant, army ant, a scorpion, geranium, right? What do these all have in common? Yeah, I see that, Hannah. Geranium.
Have you got any? Good. Right, it's bad enough as it is. Yeah, right, okay.
How about plants? We'll get you going, okay? Stinging nettle.
Oh, yeah.
Thistles. Thistles. You have thistles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scottish plant.
Yeah. What's another?
Would mint be one?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And look at this. I got some mint. We have so much things around here, but if you can see, look at the shape of the leaves. They're all very spear-like.
Now that's interesting, that, because mint, if you got stomach problems, then to have a tea with mint.
Sure. Ginger also.
Say again, was it?
Ginger also.
Ginger, yeah.
Mm.
But it's interesting that you'd think that if you got, oh no, of course, because I was about to say, if you've got your stomach out of whack, you know,
Out of whack, yeah.
out of
Right.
whack. That's my in thing at the moment. Why would you put in red to try to calm it down? But then I've realised that you're putting in red because it's putting in red as it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's fuel, isn't it?
Yeah. So
I mean, the moving center is definitely a Martian thing, isn't it?
yeah. So if your stomach isn't what it's isn't behaving or functioning as it's supposed to be, put in something very, very simple and red that is as it's supposed to be, and that will help to realign it.
Yeah. Spot on.
Yeah.
How about this?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm trying to show you the shape of the leaves.
Mm.
Come on.
Do you know what plant this is?
No.
You don't know what this plant is?
No.
Oh, you're probably lucky that you don't. It's the same as what's in this, yeah? Not marijuana, by the way.
Oh, tobacco.
Yeah, it's tobacco, right? And tobacco would be the incense to be able to bring that into the room.
Ah.
I'm not going to smoke my pipe here, but you understand, right? You can have that scent in the room. And it's much nicer out of a pipe anyway than a cigarette. But you see, you're getting there.
You won't let me smoke.
No.
Huh? What now?
I'm not allowed to smoke.
Who's smoking what? Oh, she won't let you smoke.
I
Yeah.
won't.
Ah, well.
It's probably to do with that cigar that I got at Christmas once.
Oh, yeah.
It was horrible.
Okay, so I was smoking it in the car. But that's beside the point.
No,
Try a pipe.
it's not because of that. It's because my dad used to smoke quite a bit, and
Huh?
it caused a lot of problems for him. And
Sure.
yeah, so
You said it was because it was smelly.
no, I did tell you.
No, you didn't. You said it was smelly.
Well, that too as well.
Okay, cool. It's all right. We get to the truth in the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't we always? Yeah.
Yeah.
But you get the idea, right? You bring these tuning forks into your environment, and you begin to get on the frequency of it. That's the thing. And, try not to make this so abstract in your minds, right? When you're thinking about working with Saturn or thinking about Jupiter, right? Or Mars, don't be so abstract with it that it's something external to you. What you're really doing is bringing out that aspect of you.
Yeah.
And we don't, in the past, I used the term like evocation. I'm doing away with that term just because it sounds a bit too hokey pokey magical, right? Invocations and evocations and like I'm not going to start drawing pentagrams on the floor and whatnot. Okay. But call down would be the right term. A call down.
Yeah.
That's the right term for it, because that's what you're doing. You're calling it down. You're calling this into your presence. And so if you say, look, Pierce, you're lacking discipline in your life. You've let your discipline life slip. Mars would be appropriate, wouldn't it? To call down, to increase that aspect of discipline in oneself.
Yeah.
If you are having trouble with the abstract, with connecting to things that are mystical, metaphysical, and abstract, Saturn might be appropriate to pull that in.
Yeah.
If you have an inferiority complex or in certain situations, Jupiter. Yeah, bring that regality into your life. But make it practical, make it real, make it usable for you. It's not just, pulling in elementals and doing certain things in your environment. This is tuning forks to something that's in you.
Yeah.
That has a resonance with something in creation.
Yeah.
We're made in the image of creation anyway. Gemstones. We know diamond is the birthstone. Right? Diamond, birthstone of Aries. Right. Why? Not because of its color. Why would diamond be?
Just think about what the nature of diamond is.
It's very hard.
Yeah. In ancient times, it was the hardest thing, right? Nothing could scratch a diamond, but a diamond could scratch anything. Yeah, impenetrable. Sort of the idea there. But it doesn't match in color. And the reason it doesn't match in color is because the symbol only approximates the reality. You can say this aspect of a diamond is like the aspect of Mars.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that's such an important thing, an aspect of something, rather than this way of thinking that people can fall into of absolute, everything about such and such is to do with this.
Absolutely.
It's all a blend.
Yeah.
The symbol approximates the reality, right? Because you'll get these people on the internet or writing books or whatever, and they sort of mindlessly say, moonstone goes to this and diamond goes to this, and but it isn't in recognition of what aspects of it go to that, because the symbol only approximates the reality. There's only going to be anything that you say belongs to Mars or Jupiter or Mercury or Venus or whatever is only going to have attributes of it.
Yeah.
And it's the awareness of those attributes that makes it real inside of you.
Yes.
That's it. Okay. So, right, like we began. Yeah, you wouldn't take an aspen leaf, and necessarily put it with something like Mars, for example. The leaf is just too rounded. And do you have aspen there? Do you know what it is?
Same.
Checking.
Cumin, mustard, onion. Those would all be things that go with Mars, wouldn't they? Turmeric. Another one for the stomach, by the way. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's really round.
It's got a bit of a point like every leaf, but yeah, pretty round, isn't it? Yeah. Yep. Would you say cactus goes with it? I would.
So
Hard to grab
turmeric, you're saying is Martian.
It's got a Martian element to it. And by the way, good for the stomach.
Yeah, it's good anti-inflammatory as well.
Absolutely.
And it
How about
amplifies you.
animals? What kind of animals would go with it? Oh, you're really caught on that. See, that's great. Yeah. Play around with turmeric.
Yeah.
Get it in your system. I have a giant bag of the stuff.
Yeah.
It'll probably last me 20 years, but
Animals. Right, to get past that first one, sheep and goats as in the male of bull. Actually, when you think about it, it's the male gender of most animals
Huh.
in their natural state,
Yeah.
not a domesticated state, but in their natural state.
What about a wolf? Wolves are traditionally associated with it. Yeah, because they hunt like the military does. They hunt like a special forces unit, actually.
Yeah.
You know how wolves do it, right? They've got 3 of them that distract you by snarling at you and everything else, and 2 of them come up from behind and kill you, right? It's very savage, but that's how they do it.
Yeah.
That's how wolves will do it. Yeah. They have strategy. There's another word that probably goes with Martian. Aries love games of strategy, chess, and things like that.
That thing that you said about wolves caused me to think about how a person at times in certain circumstances needs to have an all-round perception. It's like when you were saying that, I was thinking that the best thing to do when you're surrounded by wolves is don't stand side by side, stand back to back.
Yeah, right.
And that'll confuse them, right?
Yep.
But with when you're in a situation similar to that, but not with wolves, and it can be not even with people, but just when there's so much going on in you and you feel like you got it coming in all directions, so many problems, that the thing to do is to almost stop and I'm trying to think of the word, but it's almost like to separate out yourself so that you're not just looking in one direction, but
that's objectivity.
Same way of being back to back.
Yeah.
Is to think, right, okay, what is actually going on?
Yeah. Objectivity.
Yeah.
That's the separation out.
Yeah.
You got a tarot pack around you? You have one?
Have you got one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got one.
Yeah. Pick out the card you think, or a card you think goes with Mars.
That's you on the spot, isn't it?
It is. I don't really know.
Hang on.
No, that's going to turn things off in you. Yeah.
I'm gonna go off camera. I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay.
It's just in the other part of the house.
Right. Oh, that's a bit. That's better.
Guys, do you want to help me? I think.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Am I back yet? Good.
Right.
All right.
Oh, you got a first print in.
Indeed. Number.
Box.
Yep. Number 79.
Really? Yeah. Brill.
Yeah.
Wow.
79 of 700.
500.
500. Right.
Yeah. Signed by Leo. Anyway.
Yeah. Go on in.
Okay.
What you got?
Yeah. I picked out 3. I know you said only 1, but yeah. Number 18.
Okay.
Hang on.
Hold it up for us. Ah. It's interesting you would think that.
And
Next one.
number 16.
What aspect? Okay. Sure.
And that one.
It's all the orange and black ones.
Ah, interesting.
the wrong
Okay. Well, I know what you think of Aries. Here's one I would say.
Oh, okay. The Chariot card. Okay.
Now, why? Play the why game.
Because it's what drives you.
Yeah.
It's what powers you.
Isn't there an aspect of that discipline there?
Where's your chariot?
I'm finding
It's
it.
me right
Yeah.
at the bottom. It's about
Oh, no, it's
That's
there
not-
you go. Yeah.
How about
Yeah.
this one? How about this one?
Oh, okay.
Huh? I'll change your view a little bit on
Why would that be red?
why would this?
Now that's
Because
interesting. In that, that's slightly different, or is it the camera shining?
Could be the camera shining. I don't know.
Yeah, because on this one it's black all the way down.
Hmm. It's the camera shining.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Huh?
So
Here's one. Here's one. Okay. Now, why would I say this? Again, the symbol approximates the reality. I'm not saying that everything about each of these cards that I've shown you is Martian, but it has Martian characteristics in it. Let's find one that doesn't, just as an example. Huh. Yeah. How about that? That's not very Martian.
no.
It's not. Here, I'll be a typical Aries and give you the one that is definitely not Martian. We're no fools. You see. Okay. Anyway. Are you there yet? Are you
Yeah.
getting on the frequency of it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Whoops.
Yeah, the ram, sure, because they bang their heads on things, right? But they have that bolstery nature about them too. In some respects, I would argue a camel does too. Many years ago, I was in the Middle East, had an unfortunate run-in with a camel. I was having a conversation with somebody, and a camel was standing behind me here, and I feel this on my shirt, right? And I'm trying to have a very serious conversation, and then I feel a sudden tug, turns me around, takes my shirt completely off of me, right?
Yeah.
Sort of rips it off of me. And I was standing there in so much shock, I didn't even know what to say. So I just continued the conversation like it never happened for a few seconds. Give me my shirt back, right? But yeah, they've got an orneriness about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like it was trying to attract your attention.
Yeah.
And
Funny
then
moment.
you didn't respond. So out of indignation, wait, I'll tell you.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do me a favor. Stand up, and if you are with other people, like the family here at the top of the screen,
Yep.
please stagger yourselves in a triangle formation, not side by side. Okay, because you'll understand why in a moment. Yeah,
Okay.
You'll be poking each other if you do.
So triangle or staggered?
Just staggered. Just
Right.
staggered, you see. I mean, there's
Okay.
three of you, so it'll naturally be a triangle no matter what you do.
Nick, pull that back.
Ah, you got it on wheels now.
No, I carried it.
Oh, you did? Okay. All right.
You go. I'll go over and clean up the corner. Right.
Okay.
Right. Swing Tom off camera. Right.
Okay. Give yourself a bit of room.
Yep.
First thing we do, forget this, okay? First thing we do is we draw the sigil. It looks a bit like a 3. Again, you're going to use your 2 fingers. So start off in bow position, actually. Use your 2 fingers and draw that sigil that you see there. All right. Calling down Mars. Yes. Go back to your bow position. Take 2 steps forward. Now, bring your hands up to this position, which looks a bit like something you would see in martial arts, okay? But bring them up tight to this position here and thrust them straight out to the sides. This is why I'm having you staggered with your fingers spread. You see, otherwise you would have jabbed each other in the eyes. Okay? Bring it back, turn to the right, and thrust them out again. Yeah, fingers spread. You see my fingers? You can look over. Yeah. From there, you're going to spin to the left. Put your left hand on your right shoulder like this, and bring this hand up over your head. Okay, I'll show you the position that I'm in. Right, turned to the right. And then back to here. Back to your bow. Not as hard as it might seem in the beginning, okay? Let's do it again. All right. Draw the sigil. Left, right, come together. Hands up, out, with kind of a bit of vigor. You see, it's not just sort of like that, bit of vigor. Hands back, turn to the right, out again. Turn to the left. Yeah, and bring this up into kind of a warrior position with your hand on your chest there like that, and then back. Now take a moment of registration. Can you feel the vigor in these movements? It's not like flowy, is it? It'll give you a bit of vigor, won't it? Do you feel that? Do you feel what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got like...
Taller as well.
Huh?
I feel taller.
Yeah, you should. Right.
What about you, Titch?
Do you want to go through it one more time, or do you have it?
Let's do it again.
Yeah, sure.
I need
Okay.
to sit down 'cause
Is
my
it helpful that I'm facing this way?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'll get out of the way too a little bit so you can see. All right. Nice tall bow position. First two fingers, draw the sigil. Back to bow. Left, right, together. Here, out to the sides. Here, to the right, to the left, and back. Do that 3 or 4 times if you're feeling tired or lazy, and it will bolster you.
Yes, I noticed that when you said that you turned to the right, you turned to the left, or at least it
I
looked
might have made a mistake. Yeah, I did. You're correct. So here, to the left, then to the right.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
My body did it. My mouth did something else. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a hard sequence, though, is it?
Yeah. No. But
Pretty
the
easy.
important thing is when doing the turns to keep the feet still.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if you can see my feet from that
Yeah.
position, but here, 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 here.
Right? Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
Very
Because-
crisp.
To see it on the recording.
Yeah, you can see it on the recording, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, very, very crisp, and have a bit of a militarism about the way that you do it.
Okay.
All right. You can sit now. It's on the recording anyway. You'll have it.
Yeah.
What are some psychological attributes that might go with it? I'll get you started, like strength, endurance, stamina. Can you see those types of things?
Yeah.
those were the 3 that I was going to say.
Oh, sorry. Think of one more.
Sam's being polite when
What culture? What historical culture do you think goes with it? Sorry, you all are here. My camera's here, so when I'm looking here, I'm actually looking at you,
Yeah.
trying to see you, but it probably looks like I'm looking up the ground or
yeah,
something.
that's fine.
All right.
Culture. I suppose we can't say Klingons.
Well, okay, we said that, and I would agree
Yeah.
with that. But what else in Earth's culture history? What empires would you say had a Mars backing? Tobacco's an interesting looking plant, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Mm.
huge leaves. really big, and then you cut them. The ones that get like this big, you cut them, and you hang them upside down to dry them, right? And then you can do whatever you want with them, burn them as incense or smoke them or whatever. Anyway,
Made me think of the Masai Mara when they do their dancing, where they're jumping and they've got their shield and their spear.
very good. Sure. Yeah. The Roman Empire,
Yeah.
very much dominated by Mars. And I would say the Persian Empire.
Hmm.
Yeah. Not Iran as it is today, but the old Persian Empire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Darius and whatnot. Dariush.
So, would all of the conquering empires, the
I know it.
Syrians, Persia,
Yeah.
all that lot, Rome, they would have needed to have been influenced by Mars to go out from their homelands.
Yes.
Right.
But influenced in not a good way. In other words, they were influenced is the right word, right? Because being in response to, as opposed to influenced by, has a different connotation entirely. If they were in response to Mars, they would have done more in their own society instead of abating, or I should say abdicating their own society to go out and conquer others. Yeah. Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
Napoleon Bonaparte, right? Jeff the Pretty Good. That's brother to Alexander. It's a joke.
I know that one.
Jeff the Pretty Good, yeah. Alexander the Great. He could never live up to his brother. Yeah. Well, what do y'all think? Are you on the frequency of it?
So the thought that came to mind is, like we've just been saying, that those empires were influenced by Mars in the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
What is being influenced by Mars in the right way?
Self-discipline. Self-assembly. Self-assembly, right? Self-development. These things that are
Right.
require dedication, require persistence, require vigor and stamina. It's not easy to wake up every day and try to make yourself a new man or lady, one that was better than the day before. That requires perseverance, dedication.
Yeah.
That would have been the right way to be in response, or response to, instead of under the influence of. But they didn't have the assemblies, and so they began to, you got it.
Yeah, because if you're responding to something, you got the faculties to know what to do with something. But if you are under the influence of something, then it's more, it has dominion over you.
Yeah. It removes the element of choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes, like in the example of Persia, by the way, they were more in response to Mars at certain points in time. Look at the motivation of why they conquered, like Babylon, for example.
Yeah.
And then what they did with it in the end. Didn't they?
I'm trying to think. Well, one of the first things they did was to allow the Hebrews to go back to our own lands.
Right. And although they were Zoroastrians, they did not dominate their religion on top of everyone. In other words, when the Hebrews were captured by Babylon, I think 586, 585, 87, something like that.
Yeah.
Right, when they were captured by them, they were expected to adopt the religion of Babylon. You see, Persia came in and said, Go home if you want. Go build your temple if you want.
Yeah.
Stay here if you want.
Yeah.
By the way, we're Zoroastrians.
Yeah.
You know, you can pick and choose if you like it. You can do your own thing. You see, you don't expect some attitude like that, especially when religion is what drove most wars. You don't expect an attitude like that in a culture that just conquered a major empire like Babylon.
Yeah, I mean, back in those times, it wasn't just religion, it was also resources.
Yeah, true. Well, still same thing, but
Yeah. But yes, but this whole thing to do with Zoroastrianism, such a different way to most of the empires of that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So different.
very much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, another time, because there's a bunch in that, isn't there?
Yeah.
Pardon me. I hope that wasn't too loud.
No, that's fine.
All right. So go enjoy Mars. Okay. Spend a week at it. Dig into it. Find that strength and discipline. Again, it's not like you're not being true to yourself. You're just pulling more into yourself that can be useful for your journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need love along the way. We'll get into that, what love really is, when we talk about Venus. You need that. You need that kind of compassion. You also need Mars's discipline. You need Jupiter's regality, and you need Saturn's sageness.
Yes.
Yeah. And you need the junction of regality with wisdom in soul, in the sun.
Yeah.
So it's like the sun, for example, I'm not going to go into them all, but the sun, for example, is like the best attributes of Jupiter and Saturn come together. This king priest idea.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah. I've got an understanding as to why you're going through these in the order that you're going through them. Because you need to have the wisdom in place before you can have the sovereignty.
Yeah.
And once you got that in place, you got those first two, you can then go out and do things in the correct way, not being under its dominion, but as you're saying, having done the development work, getting into the development work. Yeah. To be able to keep on the correct path, because if you haven't got the wisdom and you haven't got that it's gone. But in that 3 stage, if you haven't got those first 2 as something that you value to work on, to stop the Martian thing taking you into unfortunacies.
Yeah, right. Because we could have started at Mercury and worked our way outward, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it would have had a different frequency in nature. By the time we get to Mercury, we're going to presumably have some of these qualities already in place, because Mercury, if it's allowed to just run rampant, Mercury will tear apart everything. You know? Because you get this aspect of Mercury that's also like Loki. You know Loki?
Rings a bell.
North god of mischief, isn't he?
Yeah. Yep. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's also a Hermes, Mercury, Jehuti, Thoth, right? We call it Thoth.
Right.
Yeah. That's also an aspect of it. But you see, we don't want to, we want to have the discipline to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And it's also coded by love, you see. Next week, we'll do soul, sun. Okay. We'll then merge Jupiter and Saturn together into something that is not just regality, but like the king priest of what king priests used to be before they were either kings or priests or presidents or vicars, whatever. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll work into it. All right. I think we're at a good spot.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any final wrap up questions or anything like that before?
Don't think so.
All right. Enjoy Mercury. Enjoy Mars this week.
Sure.
See you next Sunday.
Yeah, great.
Okay. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for this. See you. Bye.
See you.